John Muir, who is known as the father of the national parks, wrote in an 1873 letter to his sister, "The mountains are calling, and I must go, and I will work on while I can, studying incessantly." These words reveal a man who saw responsibility and purpose as well as pleasure in the mountains. We too hear the mountains calling us back time and again. On this trip, we were headed from Grand Rapids, Michigan to the Canadian Rocky Mountains. While Jasper and Banff National Parks are the most famous of this section of Canada, there are actually 4 national parks and 3 provincial parks that have been preserved for our enjoyment. The 4 national parks are the equivalent size of the state of Massachusetts. Come along with us on part 1 of our journey of the beautiful Canadian Rockies. We packed our Jeep Liberty with all the things we would need for a 17-day journey and headed west, entering Canada at Portal, North Dakota Customs, then continued on through Saskatchewan into Alberta and finally arriving at Jasper National Park. On the way, we witnessed a beautiful storm north of Chicago where the highway divided the sky between storm and sunset, with lightning flashing horizontally across the sky. As we headed across North Dakota towards the border, we missed our turn and ended up in Steele, North Dakota, which happens to be the home of the world's largest sandhill crane. Who knew? We had to stop, of course, and take a picture of Sandy, who stands 40 feet tall and weighs 4.5 tons. Portal, North Dakota was our port of entry into Canada and the province of Saskatchewan. Some people think of this area of Canada makes for a boring drive since it's flat farmland, but we enjoyed the simple beauty this part of the country has to offer. There were many newly mowed hayfields with rolls of hay scattered across the landscape. Trains ran alongside the highway with boxcars trailing behind as far as the eye could see. Grain elevators marked the small towns and were strategically placed beside the tracks for quick transport of the harvest to points unknown. Saskatchewan grows a large portion of Canada's grain, with wheat and canola being the 2 major crops. Saskatchewan is also the world's largest exporter of mustard seed. Other industries include forestry and mining, with the province being the largest exporter of potash and uranium. (2,150 miles from home), we arrived at Jasper. This is the largest national park in the Canadian Rockies, spanning 4,200 square miles. This beautiful town with a healthy elk population is encircled with mountains. However, because of the wildfires in the area during our visit, the smoke hid all but the closest peaks. We checked into the Wapiti campground alongside the Athabasca River and set up camp for a few nights' stay. After setup, we headed down to the water. The Athabasca River originates from the Columbia Glacier, thus the milky white watercolor from the glacial sediment. The river runs northeast 765 miles before draining into the Peace Athabasca Delta. We were hoping to spot a bear near the river, but didn't find any. There are many reminders, though, that they are in the area and can be dangerous. You are reminded not to feed them, and there are even bear traps in the campground entrances. Athabasca Falls is a 75-foot waterfall on the Athabasca River, whose beauty is in its power more than its height. Standing next to the falls, you can feel the water spray and pounding power as thousands of gallons of water crash through the gap in the rock. The wide river rushes through the narrow quartzite rocks, cutting a path through the canyon that is a beautiful sight. Below the falls, the river flows swiftly down a narrow gorge and emerges at a line of cliffs a few hundred feet beyond. Pathways lead visitors to various points above and below the falls for great viewing and amazing pictures. As you walk along, keep an eye out for the numerous potholes created by the rushing water. Local totem poles are just one reminder of the indigenous people who originally called this land home, fishing and hunting to provide for their families. Places like Sunwapta Falls also reflect the heritage of this land. Sunwapta is a word from the language of the indigenous Stoney people that means turbulent water. There are actually two falls, the Upper and Lower Sunwapta Falls. These falls originate from the Athabasca Glacier. The upper falls have an impressive drop of 61 feet as over time the falling river carved a gorge in the limestone rocks lining the Sunwapta River. The upper falls are easily accessible from the parking lot. Less than a mile down the river through the lodgepole pine forest, you'll find three waterfalls which make up the Lower Sunwapta Falls. Tyndall Creek Falls is located right on the side of the Icefields Parkway with a parking area across the street. Don't let this easy accessibility fool you. This is a beautiful and tall waterfall whose falling water will drown out the sounds of passing vehicles on the parkway. The beauty of this fall is both in the width and the delicate multi-tiered cascades as it descends the various rock ledges. You can take pictures right from the roadside, or you can choose to climb up the path to get a closer view of the widest portion of the falls. We had the falls to ourselves this day because of the drizzly weather, but even the rain couldn't dampen the beauty of this waterfall. We would return a few days later when the sun was shining and it was quite busy, plus the pictures were more washed out because of the sunlight. So don't let a little rain scare you away from this one. If you're adventurous, you can actually climb to the very top of the highest cascade. A word of warning though, it is extremely steep with very little to hang on to as you slide back down the rock and gravel. I thought I would venture out into the water on a log, but learned before it was too late that wet logs are very slippery. My wife got a kick out of that. A popular stop along the Icefield Parkway is the Columbian Icefield Skywalk experience, where visitors can step out onto a platform where glass is all that separates you from the 918-foot drop. We decided to continue on to the Athabasca Glacier. Here, we walked the toe of the glacier trail which leaves from the parking lot across from the Icefield Center. The The Athabasca Glacier is one of 6 major outlet glaciers, or toes, of the Columbia Icefield, which at 126 square miles is the largest icefield in the interior of all of North America. The Athabasca Glacier makes up only 2% of the total mass of the Columbia Icefield. Most other glaciers require long hikes, but this one is accessible for all to view and for those who purchase a tour ticket to even walk on. The short trail allows you to hike near the glacier's toe where you can see crevices from a distance and glacial streams. The glacier currently loses about 16 feet per year and has receded a little less than a mile over the past 125 years. Because of the easy accessibility, Athabasca Glacier is the most visited glacier in North America. Of all the wildlife in the park, we were most interested in seeing bear. Our first sighting was of a young black bear running across the road and through the woods. We barely got the camera running in time to catch him. It was a little worrisome that he was headed into our campground, so I guess all those warning signs are for real. Our final stop on this leg of the journey was to Pyramid Lake, just north of the town of Jasper. Our hope was the short rain had cleared the skies so we could view the beautiful mountains and the reflection in the lake, but that wasn't the case on this day. Low clouds and smoke blocked what would have been beautiful views. Join us on part 2 of our trip as we hike the Bald Hills for a stunning view of Maligne Lake. We'll also visit many more waterfalls and see a grizzly bear and her 2 cubs up close. Almost too close. If you like this video, please click that thumbs up button below and click the subscribe button to see more of our travels. Until next time.